Well, no, it's not about that. It's
All right.
just, all right. Okay. This is wonderful. I'm liking this.
All right, we're crowded here with the coffee. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
I'll be a lefty.
You'll be a lefty.
I'll be a lefty.
All right.
Macho Malachite. Little sip.
Little sip. Little dab will do you. You ready for a countdown? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, friends. Welcome to the Jersey Alchemist. And I'm your host, Dr. John Gerard Gallucci.
And I am Philip D'Angelo. What's up, pal? I have to say something, John. I don't mean to cut you off 2 seconds into this, but everybody thinks we just turn the camera on and, we just start talking. But let's be honest. We just spent about an hour in pre-production, post-production, whatever you want to call it.
Bullshit.
A lot of stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not just a 1, 2, 3, the countdown, the introduction. There's a lot that goes into this podcast.
There's a lot that goes into the podcast, and the people that you see, that you follow and that you watch, we've talked about this. Some of them are like bare bones, and it works for them. And they've got hundreds of thousands of followers, God bless them, and they're bringing light upon the world. They're light workers. And, I'm going to call somebody out, somebody that I really, really love, respect her, and watch her all the time, Lori Ladd. Lori Ladd is not a big production podcast. As a matter of fact, sometimes she's in her car, sometimes she's on her couch, maybe a selfie stick, maybe a tripod, and it all works. It all works. It's terrific, except the other people, the other podcasters that have 3, 4, 5 people around the table. No, that's a completely different story. So, what we went through just to get our audio and our visuals to jive up, and when we were hitting and banging the microphones, we didn't realize that it was popping and causing vibration. So now we just have to be reverent of the microphones.
Oh, absolutely,
right?
100%.
Right. So it took me, a non-techie, like months to achieve what we have now. Anyway.
I mean, we had a production meeting, okay?
Yeah.
All our social media platforms, they were all, we had to discuss each and every one of them. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. I'm excited because it is an exciting time. Even though there's a lot of decisions to be made, and you're making most of them, if not all of them, it's just a very exciting time. But a lot goes into this.
Right.
Not just...
this has been on the back burner for me for 5 or 6 years. And I just didn't have the time to even think about doing this, which now I'm having a blast. But when you're a full-time, busy pediatric and neonatal general and thoracic surgeon, and you're putting in easily 14-hour days, not all the time, but sometimes you're putting in 36-hour days. Oh yeah. That's how I learned how to fast so well. The thought of trying to produce a podcast was like a joke. But here we are, and I'm thrilled to be here. Thrilled to have
100%.
Phil D'Angelo with me, my bestie from day one of freshman year in high school, and my former next door neighbor.
That's going back a little ways. We got a lot of history between us.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes the banter, the back and forth, so easy with the two of us.
Well, there's a lot of years that went by we didn't see each other, and you know how it goes. When there's somebody that's a life friend, you can pick up the phone or run into them or have them over, and it's like no time has passed.
Absolutely.
Which means your friendship is from a higher dimension. It's from a dimension that's beyond the time-space continuum.
That's interesting.
A topic for another day.
There has to be a reason behind that, because you are correct. Because I could have certain friends, that you see almost once a week, twice a week, and there's always a conversation, hey, what's up? And you go that way, and it's a couple things back and forth, but there has to be something said, John, when you don't see somebody for a year, 6 months, a month, and you do pick up right where you left off. Like it was just, yesterday. I
Right.
mean, that's pretty something special.
Well, I'll take a stab at this.
Go ahead.
Okay. I've long been aware of the concept that, look, let's start with reincarnation. Okay. Get over the fact that reincarnation's a real thing. Okay. The Catholic Church is going to tell you, no, my son, we are not reincarnated. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. As a matter of fact, a lot of us, you've heard the expression, so-and-so's a new soul. Oh, that's so-and-so. She's an old soul. You know what? Lots of experience. They've been around and around and around and around. It's like that Willie Nelson song. What's it, The Highwaymen? What's the name of the song?
Johnny Cash.
Yeah,
I've been over here.
No, not that one.
No, that's on the commercial.
That's a great song.
Yeah.
No, that's I've been everywhere.
I've been
right?
everywhere. Yeah.
But the other one, I think, basically talking about reincarnation. We've been around and around and around and around. We have been. Do you think that you can achieve everything you need to achieve in God's great universe in one stinking human lifetime? We don't need no stinking human lifetime. So anyway, right? So go ahead.
So when you've been somewhere, when you go somewhere and you're like, I've been here before, or this looks really familiar.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's what happens. You know, you've been
Deja
there,
vu.
you've been down that road.
Right.
You know.
Or it's existing simultaneously in a parallel universe. Whoa, that's a good topic to talk about. But if you understand that we've been around and around and we've reincarnated and we do have parallel lives, and I'm convinced I'm living a life right now in another parallel universe in the city that is known as Montreal, PQ, that's Provence, Quebec. I know I'm there. I know I'm there because I'm there all the time. All the time, like I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'm in Montreal. I'm a surgeon. I'm having a conversation, and that's where I am. I have a big family. I got friends, and I'm never not there. And I bet that person that's in the parallel universe in Montreal probably has dreams and says, you know what? There's something about New Jersey. I feel connected to New Jersey. I don't want to be in New Jersey. Bah, joke. I love New Jersey. Jersey and all of its traffic.
You know, I feel a little unsettled here. We didn't start off with our usual, "Hey, how you doing today?"
Well,
So
we went right into it.
we went right into it, but I feel
yeah.
like I have customary. It's a custom now. So, John, how you doing today? That usually leads somewhere.
I'm good. You know, today I got up and I said, I'm going to do something for myself. I'm going to go have a load of cholesterol.
Nice.
Yeah. So I got in my car and I went down to the local diner. And
You've been there before.
I've been there 1,000 times.
Okay.
And I've gotten used to sitting at the counter all by myself. It's kind of fun,
I like the count.
And I can say that you got to be careful at the diner, just like you got to be careful at a restaurant. In a restaurant, you don't really see the food service stations. You don't really see what's going on behind the scenes. You don't see the kitchen in a diner either. That's for sure true. But what happened to me today? Lovely waitress.
She's new, old. She's been there.
Well, she's new.
Okay.
Never seen her before.
Okay.
Right? She knee-jerk got me one of those thick diner glasses, the kind that maybe won't break when they clack together. And she filled it with water and ice, like that's what I wanted at 9 o'clock in the morning was ice water. Bleh, no. And then I said, excuse me, I says, do you have a lemon for the water? Doing my best to think about how could I even sip the water. Oh, sure. And before she reached over to the bin of lemons, she stuck her finger up her nose.
What?
She stuck her finger up her nose. And after she stuck her finger up her nose, like this, then she went like this, like some kind of like scratchy, itchy, twitchy thing. And I was like, boom. And then she came over, and just as I was about to kind of grab the glass, boink, into the glass the lemon went. And I was like,
Wow.
thank you. She goes, oh, anytime. Now let's forget about COVID. Let's forget about the Wuhan wet market or the lab that we're not supposed to talk about. Let's talk about noses and lemons.
Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah, I say, noses and lemons don't mix unless you're gonna smell the lovely fresh smell of a lemon or the lemon peel, right? But don't stick a lemon up your nose, and don't stick your finger up your nose before you grab a lemon out of the bin to put it in my water at the damn diner. So now what happens is the whole bin of lemons, as far as I'm concerned, is contaminated. And if you think I'm going to put that glass up to my lips, guess again. What would you do?
What would I do? Yeah,
Would
I
you
wouldn't
call her out?
No, I wouldn't touch it. I'm always afraid to say something about my food. I've accepted meals that, the steak isn't cooked right. The eggs are a little runny. I don't complain. I don't let them go take that food after I complain behind closed doors.
And do the Jesse
and
Jackson?
I don't want to go there yet, but something like that, absolutely. So I take my lumps when it comes to going out to dinner. I will accept it. I may not eat it or finish it, which is extremely unusual for me, but I won't say anything. So that puts you in a tough spot, though. I mean, forget about a nose with lemon. I mean, a nose with any kind of food is, wow, way out of line.
Yeah.
Did it affect her gratuity?
No.
Cut to the chase.
No. Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. No. I'm not a. No, I'm not mean-spirited unless I'm defending myself. And one could actually turn this story around and say, but you have to defend yourself from somebody sticking their finger up their nose and then sticking a lemon in your water. The only saving grace here is that, and I started off this way, the last thing in the world I want in the morning is a glass full of ice water filled 3/4 of the way with ice from an ice machine. Why would I want to do that? If I drank that water, I'd probably toss. That's just not who I am. Now, if I'm in the middle of a workout, different story. But I wasn't working out, and I was expecting a nice hot cup of coffee. I was going to order my cholesterol bolus for the day. I was going to order scrambled eggs and bacon. Why? Because I'm on the keto carnivore diet, and yes, friends, it's working. But back to the main story here.
Maybe it was a nervous twitch or something. Maybe she didn't realize.
Maybe. So,
I mean, I have a friend that every time I talk to him, he starts scratching his head, probably wondering where I'm coming from when I'm having a conversation. That could be it. I swear, every time I talk to him, he just starts talking and he's going like this, and then when I stop talking, he puts his hand down.
Who did that in the movies? Danny Aiello in Moonstruck. Remember? He'd get
really?
upset and take his hat off him.
Oh yes,
scratch his head.
I love that movie.
I
mean, so maybe it was a nervous twitch. I mean, but maybe she's in the wrong profession if she's.
Well, but you know what? It's funny. I ran a seasonal restaurant back in the 80s with my brother for about 7 years. Half the years were with him and half were just on my own. And, we had to go to a state-sanctioned food handler's course. I believe it was the state.
Absolute health license, county,
Yeah,
state.
yeah. I don't know if it was
township,
county or state, but we
absolutely.
the people who hooked us up was the local township, commissioner of health or whatever it's
The
called.
health department.
Yeah, good guy.
Health
He
officer.
came down, helped us out a lot. It was our first go. We learned so much in that food handler's course. I still quote that course, and there's still things that I did through medical school and all through my residency that I learned in that food handler's course. Yeah. But so many of the servers and the food people at restaurants and diners that I experience contemporarily, they act like they've never had that course. And it bugs the shit out of me. I feel abused.
Oh my goodness. Courses are amazing. Listen, knowledge is power. There was a course I had to take as a manager of a company, a sexual what do you call that?
Oh, you had to go to sexual harassment.
Harassment, sexual
My God,
harassment.
you must have been a real terror at work.
Well, no. Well, what happened was,
You don't have to tell us. I'm kidding.
all right, it was just one time. So, no, what happened at work, somebody accused another manager of sexual harassment, and my boss had to pay out a lot of money. So he said, everybody, or his insurance company said, now everybody has to take a sexual harassment course. And I'm like, really?
Yeah. Well, that's the way it is.
So what they did in the beginning is they gave us all these questions. Is this sexual harassment? Is this? And I'm like this. No. Let me tell you, by the end of the 30 to 40-minute course, they gave us the same test.
Mm-hmm.
Is this sexual harassment? And this, I went, yes.
Yeah.
So once you have that knowledge, you know, once you know, when you know, and it just changed everything. So the same thing with the health license.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, and it's food, and people are eating it. You know, I mean, come on.
Oh, there's no doubt, and you know, knowing what I know, not just from the food handlers course I took back in the early '80s, but from going through dental school and medical school and residency and fellowship and being an attending for 25 years, you know, I'm just not the average Joe that sits at the diner. I'm kind of, you know, it's not that I'm hawking people and have everybody under a magnifying glass, and I certainly am not the white glove guy at a restaurant, except like the Monty Python skit, The Dirty Fork or The Dirty Knife. You know, if there's a knife or a fork, or if the glasses that are put out are filthy, oh, how about the lipstick on the rim of the glass from the woman who drank out of the glass the night before?
Well, that's a problem.
Now you can pour me an expensive glass of wine, and when I hold that up, now it doesn't get that far. I'll look at that glass of wine before the person with the wine is going to come over, and if there's lipstick on it from the night before, it's like, hey bud, not for nothing, but.
Yeah, I
Not
mean,
for nothing.
that's one good thing about the internet is that you have reviews now. If there's a restaurant you want to go to or a diner, I mean, I'm surprised you didn't put that review up, but that's not your style. I mean, people, when they go somewhere, they're putting reviews up. Guess what? I was here and the waitress did this, and you know.
So am I a hypocrite? Because what I wanted to say to you with that you know, notion about putting a review up, and I really didn't know that there were reviews, right? But
Yelp.
okay, but I'm probably much more likely to put a review up if it was a diner on the highway. And by the way, for those of you who, you all know what diners are, but you know, Jersey, New York.
Jersey, I think, is the capital.
The
diner capital.
I think it is. You know, people in New York are going to yell and scream and go, no, you know, there's more diners in New York than Jersey, because why? There's only one way that could possibly be true, is if you have more Greeks in New York than Jersey. Ha! But God bless them, because nobody does a diner like the Greeks. That's an acknowledgement, and it's okay, because I was Greek in another lifetime. That's another story. That's not a joke. Ancient Greece. That's why I have an affinity for the people, for the culture, for the food, for the architecture, and that sense of deja vu whenever I watch or read something about ancient Greece. Oh yeah, I was there.
Well, didn't the Greeks start the Olympics?
They did.
And then the discus. I mean,
Yeah,
the discus
that's
thrower.
true.
Man, you
That's
never know.
true.
There you go. There's a perfect connection right there.
Well, you're right. Yeah,
The
I
way
didn't
you
think
used
of
to
that.
throw that like a natural.
Yeah,
back in the day.
right. Just picked it up like it
you-
was old hat.
So you were kind of cheating then. I
was
mean,
kinda
you've done it
cheating.
before.
Done it before.
It's not fair.
Right.
Well, John, there's a word I want to ask you about today. I mean, you know, it's a typical
Should
Jersey.
we have a word of the day?
We can do that, yeah.
Okay.
Today's word,
Anti-disestablishmentarianism.
no words that I can't spell.
That's from.
All right.
That's from Ed Norton, isn't it?
Is a real? Oh yeah. Honeymooners.
Right.
That's amazing. Because today it's a typical rainy spring day in New Jersey.
Yeah.
You know, we're always bringing up the weather on the podcast,
Right.
and living in Jersey and the grind that it is. But you know what? I don't think anybody should really depend on the weather to if you're going to have a good day or not, or if your outlet is happy, sad, productive, not productive. What I'm trying to say is I think the most important thing is the word mindset.
Okay.
Your mindset. You know, whatever your mindset may be, You know, that's going to help you get through the day. So if you have a negative mindset, then I think you're going to have a negative day, or you're
Yeah.
going to attract negative people. I mean, you're a big energy guy.
Yeah.
You know, tell us the difference between putting out and receiving positive energy
Oh,
or
boy,
negative
do I have a
energy.
story for you.
I knew you would.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the concept that we're talking about here is really hand in hand with the law of attraction. So you're like a generator because really you're energy, and you have an energy toroidal energy field around you. It's almost the shape of like a big donut, and the energy kind of goes like this. Our consciousness is within this energy field. Your consciousness is not inside your brain, I promise. No matter how big you think your brain is, or whether it's Stegosaurus-like, your consciousness is not held the confines of your physical brain. It's not. Your consciousness shoots out energetically into the universe like a bolt of lightning. It's bigger and brighter and more energetic as per the emotion. Remember that from the last podcast? When you're a creator, create with your imagination, your consciousness, your heart. But the driver behind it, the driver is your emotion. So when you put that out into the universe resonates. It resonates. That's a key concept. Resonates with the energy you're putting out. And then what do you pull in? You pull in something that resonates with what you're putting out. Understood? Right? So if you're putting out energy that says, let's just say the number 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. The universe wants to give you something that's going to connect like the prongs of a plug and a socket. It's going to have to resonate, and like frequency resonates, right, with each other. That's how it works. And so you connect, boom, the connection's made, and now you have this connection, this energetic connection, and this is what you pull in. If you're sending out, I don't know, the letter B, you're going to pull in something that resonates with bees. Maybe all the bees come in. Not insect bee, letter B. So what you put out draws in what resonates with it, and then it comes to you. This is not a joke, people. You think it's something that's woo-woo new age? Guess what? Unbeknownst to you, and it's not your fault, you've been sleeping. You've been sleeping for 1,000 years, for 3,000 years, for 7,000 years, for 25,000 years that you may have been around. You're asleep. And the reason why certain people are so successful from one lifetime to the next, and a lot of them are dark-hearted souls, is because they know these esoteric, secret, magical things that the rest of us, they hold away from us. The law of attraction snuck out there, I don't know how many years ago, what, 20 years ago or something?
At least, sure.
Right? And that's a book called The Secret. So,
it's almost
you,
like, John,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
I apologize. It's almost like a magnetic field.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you're like, when you say attracting, it's like
Right.
a magnet.
That's another good way of putting it, right? If you're sending out, the energy from the North Pole of a big U magnet, well, the energy from another magnet, the North Poles they're not gonna click together. They're gonna repel each other. So north goes to south and click. You've got a match. So how did we get onto this?
It's all about mindset.
About mindset, right?
And what you put out.
So listen to this now, okay? People who, whatever you dwell on, is what you're gonna get. Case in point, back around 2006 or 7, I was involved in a lawsuit as a pediatric surgeon. And I am thrilled to say that after 2 weeks of sitting in front of an 8-member jury and family members and a plaintiff's attorney that had gone to acting school, who was a lying sack of shit, all in the name of money.
Lawyers that
Money.
lie, unusual.
Yeah, well, look, if somebody injured me, medically, I'd want the best med malpractice attorney to act and speak and work on my behalf, right?
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, maybe they start that way and they kind of delude themselves into thinking that they're being altruistic. But after a while, it's all about the money. And that's what happens. So here we are in the throes of this lawsuit, and I was crushed that anybody could outright lie about me to the jury, to the family. They were all caught up in this delusional mass hypnosis, so to speak. And I was so disturbed. I couldn't sleep. It's going on the second week. I woke up one morning especially angry. So angry that I thought I was going to have a stroke, God forbid, or a heart attack. And I had to get up to my attorney's office at a certain time so we could meet, discuss the what was going to happen for the day, have a cup of coffee, and then boom, walk down to the courthouse, because that's the way it is. Wherever there's a courthouse, there's offices with lawyers all around it. So I'm in my car and I'm wreaking havoc upon the people that I feel as though are persecuting me. Not very Jesus-like, but very three-dimensional-like for me at the time. I was really, really, really angry and upset and thinking violently. And I hop onto Route 287 North to go toward Morristown, and all of a sudden, some guy in a convertible BMW cuts me off doing 70 miles an hour. Out of nowhere, cuts me off, gets in between me and the truck in front of me. I don't even think there was enough room for his car. I had to slam on my brakes. I'm hitting the horn. He's got his arm out the window. He's flipping me off. He's yelling and screaming and yelling and screaming. And I'm like, you effing blah, 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 blah. I'll show you. Oh, you show me, I'll show you. You step out of your car. It was road rage about to happen, but we were doing 70 miles an hour. He takes off, boom. And now I'm double fumed. And I'm like, MFer. Like, now I'm ready to take on the world. Like, how dare that asshole almost kill me? And now we're coming up toward the exit, and all of a sudden, a contractor in a pickup truck cuts me off, gets in front of me, and slams on his brakes. I had all to do but to rear end him, and of course it would have been my fault in a court of law because I was rear ending him. But they had no idea what kind of move the guy just pulled. So now he's flipping me off. Now I'm flipping him off. He's screaming, I'm screaming. He slows down, pulls up next to me. He rolls the window. He's pointing at me. He's screaming. He's spitting. If the guy had a gun, he would have tried to pop me. And guess what? If I had a gun, maybe I would have popped him first. Maybe we would have popped each other. But guess what? As he drove away and I hit my exit, I pulled over into a parking lot on South Street in Morristown. And I put my hands up to my head and I said, oh my God, this is all my fault. It wasn't my fault that the yuppie in the Beamer cut me off and then was, all in on road rage. It wasn't my fault that the contractor slammed his brakes on in front of me. I conjured up people who were in my vicinity that were also just sending out the same ugly, horrible, violent-like energy. And boom, they just came right in on me on cue. And it was abundantly clear to me that that's how at least the third dimension works. If you want to walk around constantly with a chip on your shoulder and constantly angry, and I've been accused at times of being an edgy soul, Well, look, you know what? I go with that side of me for the podcast because it's more fun to watch than somebody who's a pink and blue marshmallow sitting in a chair. You know, Mr. Stay Puff. Who wants to see that? I don't even want to see that. Anyway, I pulled those ugly happenstances into me. And when I realized what the hell I was doing, I said, oh, good Lord, I am so sorry. I understand. And you know something? Everything happens for a reason. There's a lot of people who think that statement's bullshit. It doesn't work. Even my beloved Jordan Peterson says, no, that's not true. That's not true, right? Yeah, well, guess it is true. If you're starting to think spiritually, it is true. Everything happens for a reason. And why did that happen to me? Because I think 3 days later, we finished up with closing arguments, and I had 3 days to turn my energy around in that courtroom. And I did, and I won on a landslide. I was vindicated. I burst out into tears. And let me tell you something else. I was really tested because right before the judge issued his instructions to the jurors, he got up and he looked like the guy, Professor Marvel in The Wizard of Oz. Well, let me tell you something, jurors. When you go out to lunch, you're going to deliberate and come back and render a verdict. He's supposed to be impartial. You're going to consider the plaintiff's argument and the defense argument. And when you come back with an amount to be awarded, make sure that it's enough to blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
I almost jumped out of my chair because I wanted to choke the judge to death in his own courtroom.
Wow.
Get those words. When you go out and deliberate and you come in with a verdict, make sure the amount is. You ugly worm, you.
Isn't that a mistrial?
Yeah,
I mean,
well, you know what? That just proved. I think the guy had a flask behind his bench up there. I think he was hitting the sauce before he came out. Everybody, all rise for who? For the alcoholic? Are you kidding me? He could easily be a senator or a congressman or whatnot. How? I got to Greta him. How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you
deserve
put into the minds of the jurors? See, this is. I love when I go off on a tangent and it's full of energy.
That's right.
But how dare anyone in that capacity put in the minds of the jurors, when you go out for lunch and you're rendering a verdict, make sure the amount that you award is big enough. That means that his little stupid gig in his court of law doesn't work unless millions and millions of dollars are being turned. Otherwise, he's out of business. I was so thrilled. But as everybody came back in, right before the Lord and Master came out of his chamber and the policeman, the bailiff, said, all rise. Right before that happened, the plaintiff's attorney rolled his wheelie chair across the aisle and he grabbed my attorney's arm. And they all know each other. They all go play golf with each other. They're all drinking buddies. They all go out on each other's fishing boats. And here's what he said, and he was only 3 or 4 feet from me. He goes, come on, so-and-so, and I'm not going to name my attorney's name. He goes, come on, he goes, just give me $250,000. Come on, the family's expecting something. You don't make me look like a fool. Just give me $250,000. What? That was a massive WTF moment. I grabbed my attorney's chair and I wheeled him into me, and I turned him around. Now I'm face to face, and the plaintiff's attorney is looking at me like I'm a nut. And I'm looking at him like I want to kill him. And I said, don't you dare. And he hushed me up. He said, okay, everybody, calm down, show's over. All rise. Here comes the jerk with his flask in his pocket. He says, have you reached your decision? And thank God, it was a landslide. It was a grand slam. And of course, I was vindicated. And I was so terrorized by the process, because Homie didn't do anything wrong. I did everything right. The family just didn't, they couldn't imagine that at the expense of a bad outcome for their kid, who was perfectly fine, by the way, okay, they thought just by their very fabric that should translate into millions and millions and millions of dollars for them. And they picked an attorney who thought the same thing. So this wasn't about reparation for some kind of, God forbid, death, wrongful death or permanent injury. No, I did everything right, and the process terrorized the crap out of me. It just did. But I turned the energy around. Even my attorney in the last 3 days, he said to me, he goes, you know what? He goes, sometimes you scare the shit out of me, and I don't think that you're going to be able to handle this. But the day that it was my turn to get up and take that chair and be cross-examined by the plaintiff's actor, he didn't know what hit him. He didn't know what missile came first from what direction, and I blew him away. And all 8 jury members sat there with their jaws gaping. And you know something? God handed me that win. But God put those 2 crazy people on the highway, he put them in my path. Because he says, hey, you're acting like a crazy. And this isn't going to end well for you if you're putting out this much violent, nasty, destructive energy. So please, this is a wake-up call. Slap in the face, one right after the next on 287 at 70 miles an hour. That's how the third dimension can work. Be aware of that. So that's a long story.
Oh, it's a great story.
It's a long story that speaks to energy and consciousness and let me just say one more quick thing, and you can chew on this and look it up and go to YouTube and or Google it or whatever you want. But, and I'll say it again and again, we are the creators. I am not God, Phil's not God, but we are the creators, because the Creator creates us, and the Creator creates us in the image and likeness of the Creator. Does that mean that the Creator somewhere looks like me or Phil? No. It means that energetically we are magnificent beings that are eternal spiritually, and we have the capacity to create. But we all have a dark side, and we all have the light in us. It's the will of man that's seated in the ego, right? And the ego is the father of fear, always fighting against our God center, which is seated in the Merkaba. Look up the Merkaba. It's the chariot of fire. The fire is the Holy Spirit, and it's got to be housed somewhere. It's in a chariot. Where is it? It's right in your chest. And it's beautiful. And it's crystalline. And it spins. And it's so bright that the human eyes can't gaze upon it. But I had the privilege of witnessing a dear friend's Merkaba in the same 24-hour sequence that he unfortunately met a very unfortunate, ugly demise. And he was only 18 years of age and a very close dear friend. People who go through their lives caked in darkness, enshrouded in negativity and darkness, will get themselves sick. God forbid they'll come down with a premature coronary artery disease. They'll come down with some horrible cancer. And I've seen that over and over and over again. You might say, poppycock, bullshit, this guy's full of crap. No, I'm not. No, I'm not full of shit. I'm not full of crap. Here's how it works. Your meat, your 3-dimensional temple that houses the Holy Spirit, right? It's energy. And if your energy is shit, guess what happens to the energy that condenses to form your body? It gets sick. It goes awry. It's bad energy. It's just like you're going to make yourself an omelet and you want to make a 3-egg omelet, and the first 2 eggs you crack, boom, in the pan they go. The third egg you don't know is rotten. Boing. You crack a rotten egg into that omelet. Are you going to eat the omelet? Only if you're stupid. So there's good eggs and there's rotten eggs. If you're a rotten egg, friends, you're going to have a rotten life. I'm done on that rant.
Wow, that was amazing. What a great story. I mean, we could go down a lot of different roads, talk about the legal system.
I missed the rabbit hole.
Mr. Rabbit Hole. I mean, we could go into lawyers and that whole thing, but let's not do that. But it's amazing when, and usually it proves innocent or guilt when somebody goes on that witness stand. I mean, and just tells the facts and the truth and the story. 99 out of 100 times, I mean, people are going to believe you, you know, because they can just tell. You can tell when somebody's not telling the truth, unsure of an answer. But when you're telling the truth, you never have to worry about remembering or if it's a lie. The truth is the truth. And like they say, the truth will set you free.
True. True.
Okay.
True. Now, there's a follow-up story to the story that I just told you, and it's just too good to let it go because I can't think of any other segue into this next story. Please bear with me. It's the truth, and you're going to go, what? Did that really happen? Yes, it did, and here's the story. Once again, what you put out into the universe with the energy of your consciousness, the universe responds in kind and finds resonance, and this is what you pull into yourself. Okay, so now after that court case, Johnny Boy has PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Don't think that you have to, you know, God forbid, be somewhere where there's a big international calamity, you know, with death and earthquakes and tsunamis and war and buildings that are collapsing. Oh, that'll do it. That'll do it for sure. But that's the classic understanding of who has PTSD. I think people have PTSD. They're here, there, and they're everywhere because you don't know an individual's threshold that clicks off, that flips the switch for PTSD. I can tell you that this court case absolutely crushed me because for a lot of reasons, right? For a lot of reasons, but I was so stabbed by the fact that people would go to a court of law to lie about me. And then the judge, all rise, in his courtroom, where if you breathe the wrong way, the guy wanted to kill me. You know why? Because after a lunch break, I came back and, you know, I forgot to turn my cell phone back off.
Oh,
I'm sitting up there on the stand.
You didn't get a year in prison for that.
I'm sitting on the stand and my cell phone went off and I was like, oh, and I grabbed it. He looked at me like he wanted to kill me. Like he wanted to kill me. The old pot-bellied, gray-haired, flask-carrying son of a bitch. Ha! That's what I think of you. So, I have PTSD. The court case ends, I don't know, let's say it was a Wednesday. Now I'm back at work Thursday and Friday, and I'm not on call for the weekend. Thank you, Jesus. By the way, for 32 years, I took call every other night or every single night of my life. That's between 6 years of residency, 2 years of fellowship, and decades of being an attending pediatric surgeon. Think about that. You think you're working your ass off? You don't know jack shit, unless you are. And then you got to do something for yourself, because I didn't know how to for 32 years. So my wife at the time says, you know what? Let's go down the shore. For you non-Jerseyites, down the shore is the colloquial term that just means let's go to the beach, right? So down the shore in Jersey means we're going to the beach.
It's peaceful, the water.
Yeah, right. And you don't have to go to the beach. You have to go to just the area of the seashore. You could go and visit a relative that's 2 miles inland, And if it's in proximity 2 miles to the ocean, you're down the shore. Okay? So now I'm down the shore and I'm paralyzed because I got PTSD. And my kids didn't want to come near me, sadly. It's my fault. But I was encased with this PTSD. And my wife says to me, you know, the whole weekend is come and gone. Friday night, you were a bear to be around. Saturday, you didn't want to go to the beach. You didn't want to go shopping. You didn't want to go for a walk. She goes, this is complete bullshit. She goes, it's Sunday morning. She goes, me and you, we're going to take a walk on the boardwalk, and we're going to go and get breakfast. And I says, I don't want to go. And she says, oh, you're going. To her credit, she says, oh, you're going. Okay, all right. So I had a beachy like t-shirt on. I had, you know, cut rip denim shorts and flip-flops, because that's what you wear on the Jersey Shore. And so we're walking hand in hand. And now we're about a mile into this walk, and we're walking north on the Asbury Park, New Jersey boardwalk. You know, Bruce Springsteen, the Stone Pony is right there. You can see it. And we're halfway up the Asbury Park boardwalk. And I'm supposed to be feeling better, walking hand in hand with my wife at the shore. We're about to go to breakfast. And I'm starting to feel heavy like I can't describe. I'm starting to get this feeling like I can't breathe. And I'm thinking, just keep putting one foot in front of the next. And my wife is talking about something, trying to snap me out of this horrible PTSD funk that I'm in. Quite frankly, I wanted to run into the ocean and drown myself. That's how bad it was for me. I was completely, you know, incapable of getting myself out of this dungeon that I was in.
You were broken.
I was broken. So the further we go north on the Asbury Park boardwalk, with each step I took, I felt like it was harder and harder and harder to breathe. Now, let me say this. Let's step back and look at this picture. PTSD from 2 weeks of being painted as Jack the Ripper, a negligent pediatric surgeon, which I am not, nothing of the kind.
A monster.
A monster. Somebody who ruined the family's life, which was all bullshit. And it hurt me desperately, okay? Because I think empaths, everything sticks to them, right? And I'm on the boardwalk on a Sunday morning, and my wife, to her credit, says, I got to snap my husband out of this because he's going to have a goddamn stroke. I could have been anywhere within the tri-state area on that Sunday morning. How many people are in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, right? Tens of millions of people. I could have been anywhere, anywhere. But the further I went north on the boardwalk in Asbury Park, I felt like I couldn't breathe. And it got so bad that I grabbed my wife's hand and I squeezed her hand and I stopped. And if it looks like I'm getting emotional with this story, it's because I am. And I stopped and I looked at her. I almost said to her, call an ambulance. And then I saw a pair of feet in sneakers standing right in front of me. And I looked up and I was face to face with the plaintiff's attorney from the lawsuit, from the courtroom. How does that happen?
What are the chances?
What are the chances that that would happen? I was so fucking flabbergasted.
Surprised you didn't pass out.
I almost did pass out. I was speechless. He was speechless. And he was walking with his wife and other people. She immediately knew who I was. And I looked at him, and like an empath, instead of smacking him in the teeth and knocking his chiclets down his throat, which is what he deserved. Don't you love that?
I like
Jersey ease, right?
Chiclets.
I put out my hand and I called him by his first name and I says, "Hey, so-and-so." I said, "Surprise, here we are." I said, "Nice to see you." He was as flabbergasted as me. And he went, yeah. And his wife grabbed his arm. "Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. That guy screwed me out of $7 million. Come on, let's go." And he walked away. He walked south on the boardwalk. My wife and I kept walking north. He's looking over his shoulder back at me, completely gobsmacked as I was at him. Wow. And we walked another 40, 50, 60 feet until we were out of earshot. And my wife looks at me. She goes, "Who the fuck was that?" And I said, "That was so-and-so." And she was like, "What? What?" So please, tell me what the odds were. Tell me what the odds were, right? Millions and millions and millions and millions to one. But guess what it served to do? It immediately broke the spell. It served a purpose. It wasn't just a metaphysical, supernatural, against all odds moment, which it certainly was. No, it wasn't just that. It was God saying to me, "All right, look, enough is enough. Enough is enough. You're stuck in this psychological nightmare, this dungeon. It doesn't need to be that way. You beat their ass as you deserve to beat their asses in because you did everything right, Dr. Gallucci. So forgive yourself. Forgive them for being who they are. Here, face to face, millions and millions and millions and millions against the odds, right? It's over." Wow. I took a deep breath and it was over. It was over. And I looked at my wife and I said, I started to cry. And
You can't get a more fitting ending to that story.
wow, it's got me right now. It's all packed in there somewhere. Everything that we go through, it's all packed in there. But I apologize to her. I apologize to her for ruining the weekend with her and the kids down the shore. But it served a purpose. It put me, I don't know, 20 million to one, right where I needed to be at the exact time, space, place on this fucking planet where I had to be, where he was. We walked, we didn't pass each other, that he was on the rail, on the eastern side of the boardwalk where, if you jumped over, you're on the sand, and I'm on the inland side where the shops are. We walked face to face right into each other. How could that possibly be? You think there's no God? You think there's no consciousness? You think there's no guardian angels? You think there's no spirit message guides? You think that all there is in your life is what's beyond the tip of your rotten nose? Wake up! Wake up. Life is so much more complicated than what you think it is. And life is so much more glorious than you're allowing it to be. Do I sound edgy? I am edgy. Because I see every nook and cranny and crack. I see all of the darkness and I see all of the light, and everywhere that both sides interdigitate. And that's just how it is for me. And I'm not the only one. So please take this impassioned rant and understand that your life is yours to create. Again, don't wait for the feckless politicians to change your world. Don't wait for the corporate executives and the CEOs and presidents to change your world. Don't wait for the Ukraine to save your world, or the Russians, or the Iraqis, or the Israelis, or anybody else. Change your world. Create your world. The world truly is your oyster. Now go find your pearl. I'm done.
Wow, what a great way to end the podcast. And that all came from the word mindset. And we're going to leave you with this. An ancient philosopher said this: the words you speak become the house you live in.
Amen, brother.
Amen, John. John, fantastic episode.
God bless. Friends, see you again on the next episode of
The Jersey Alchemists.
There you go.
If you like what we're doing, press the like button and follow us and subscribe. Thank you, everybody.
See you soon.